How's it going, PD team? I've got a quick and specialized tutorial for you today. It's a technical edge case situation where you want to control a shader, but using the object's user data. Keep this tutorial in your back pocket as it may become very useful at a later date. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content for more. With that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. We've got a shader, which is independent from this object. And what's happening here is we've got some custom user data here with color variation, shader, saturation, and shader lightness. And these sliders talk to this shader. And so what I can do is I can duplicate this by holding control and dragging and changing the saturation, changing the hue offset, and then turning on my IPR. And you'll see that I've got color variation, but it's the same shader. So what's happening here is these user datas are uniquely controlling this shader and it's independent. So where would you use this? Well, if I was doing a product where I had a shampoo bottle and they had maybe 6 different color types on their label, you could just model one and texture one bottle and then shift the highlights on the bottle, maybe orange, red, green, blue, etc. So you essentially have one material driving all 6 product bottles. So let's see how it's made. Okay, I'm starting with a blank project here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna be adding user data to these tabs here. So you can see we've got basic, coordinates, object, Phong. So let's go ahead and add a new material. So I'll delete my original, make a new material, and I'm gonna get rid of the reflection. So we just have the color channel, double click, loads it up, and I'm gonna turn off the attributes panel. And here we go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna double click, type in HSL, and you'll see there's this one called Golem. And you can use the color correct node or whatever. And I'm gonna just put a straight red in here is my base color. And you can use any node that you wanna see. So if I do color correct, you'll see you have the input. So if this is a material, like an image material with like a red or a green or a blue, you could offset it using the hue shift. So same thing. So this applies to pretty much any offset. And then we'll take this and plug this into our color. And now we've plugged in basically just red. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you with the hue offset first. So you can see it goes from -1 to +1. And saturation works the same way, -1, +1, and same with lightness. So we wanna expose these on our object itself. So to do that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here, type in user, and we're gonna pick this one called scalar user data. Double click, and I'll call this one hue, and we'll plug hue into hue. And then what we'll do is we're gonna go to our object here, bring up our attributes panel, we'll go to user data. And if this is grayed out, sometimes you have to, I find with shaders, you're gonna have to like click away and reselect, and then go in here to user data, make sure you're on your cube, manage user data. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a group, and we'll call this shader control, hit enter. And then with the shader control group selected, we're gonna add a user data. And this data, we're just gonna call hue shift. And to note, you're gonna want unique names with these. So if you run into any errors, it's either you have a typo here, it doesn't match the scalar user data node, or this is not a unique value here. So just be mindful of that. And we wanna change this from float to float slider and from percent to real. And we're gonna type in -1 and then +1. And then here's what we need to change is the step size. Change it to 0.01 so that we get finer control. And you can put it to 001 like that, hit okay. And now you can see we've got a slider called shader control, and you can see we can shift it. So I'm gonna just change it to something like here to make sure it's offset. And then we'll go back to our node editor and we call this hue shift. So I'm gonna type in hue shift, hit enter, and let's test this out. Make sure your spelling is exactly the same as it is here. So the two match, and that's what creates the link. So I'll turn on my IPR, and you can see now I can move this slider to shift the color. So the two are linked. So we're now communicating between the user data on the object and the shader, and it's going inside. Pretty cool stuff. And you can go in here and add more user data and do the other properties. So I can just copy this, paste, and do lightness shift and saturation. So I'll go back here, and there you go. There's the 4. And then you can just take this, duplicate this 3 times, plug this in, sat, and light. And then you just plug in the values here. So lightness, this one's saturation, SAT, and you have to be uppercase sensitive, and this one's light. And we'll go back here. You can see I can darken it and bring it down, the saturation. And it works with multiple objects. So I can take this, duplicate it 3 times, bring the saturation on each one of these to a different value, turn on my IPR, and we'll bring this one back to 0. So there you go. So that's how to link user data into a shader node. That's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more content. Thanks for your support.